Good morning, Year 5. I am here today to read you our new English text, which is called The Man Who Walked Between the Towers. So I'm really excited to read this with you today. I'd like you to pause the video and have a look at the front cover and do your predictions if you haven't done so already. Once there were two towers side by side. They were each 1/4 mile high, 1,340 feet, the tallest buildings in New York City. A young man saw them rise into the sky. He was a street performer. He rode a unicycle. He juggled balls and fiery torches. But most of all, he loved to walk and dance on a rope that he tied between two trees. He looked not at the towers, but at the space between them, and thought, what a wonderful place to stretch a rope, a wire on which to walk. Once the idea came to him, he knew he had to do it. If he saw 3 balls, he had to juggle. If he saw 2 towers, he had to walk. That's how he was. Hasn't he danced on a wire between the steeples of Notre Dame Cathedral above his amazed home city, Paris? Why not here, between these towers? Of course he knew that, as in Paris, the police and the owners of the towers would never allow it. You must be crazy, they would say. You'd fall for sure. And so Felipe, that was the young man's name, began to plan a plan to do it secretly. The buildings are not quite finished, he thought. Maybe if I dressed as a construction worker. Early on an August evening, he and a friend entered the South Tower. They got a 440-pound reel of cable and other equipment into the elevator, took it to the unfinished top 10 floors, and waited till nightfall when everyone had gone. Then they carried everything up 180 stairs to the roof. I'd rather them than me. I don't think I could do that. At midnight, on the other tower's roof, 2 more friends tied a thin, strong line to an arrow and shot it across to Felipe, 140 feet away. It missed and landed on a ledge 15 feet below the roof. Oh, bad luck, thought Felipe. He crawled down to the ledge over the sparkling city and got the arrow. Oh, it makes my stomach go funny, thinking about that sort of height and climbing down. To its line, he tied a stronger line, which his friends pulled back to their tower. To the end of the stronger line, Felipe tied the cable on which he would walk. It was 5/8 of an inch thick. His friends pulled the cable over to their tower, but it was so heavy that it slipped from Felipe's grip. The cable's middle plummeted towards the street, pulling the friends on the other tower to the very edge. Felipe, just in time, secured his end. It took 3 hours to pull the cable back up. Frantically, as the stars faded, they tightened it between the towers. It was past dawn before they were ready. Felipe put on his black shirt and tights. He picked up his 28-foot balancing pole. All his life he had worked to be here, to do this. Oh my goodness. As the rising sun lit up the towers, out he stepped onto the wire. Oh dear. Out to the very middle he walked, as if he were walking on the air itself. Many winds whirled up from beneath the towers, and he swayed with them. He could feel the towers breathing. He was not afraid. He felt alone and happy and absolutely free. A woman coming from the subway might have been the first to see him. Look, someone walking on the wire between the towers. That was her. Everyone stopped and looked up. They gasped and stared. It was astonishing. It was terrifying and beautiful. A quarter of a mile up in the sky, someone was dancing. The police saw it too. Officers rushed to the roofs of the towers. "You're under arrest!" they shouted through bullhorns. I mean, I could have tried there to do my best attempt at an American accent, but we all know that wouldn't end very well. Felipe turned and walked the other way. Who would come and get him? For almost an hour, back and forth, he walked, danced, ran, and knelt in salute upon the wire. He even lay down to rest. The city and harbour spread beneath him. The sky surrounded him. Seagulls flew under and over. As long as he stayed on the wire, he was free. When he felt completely satisfied, he walked back to the roof and held out his wrists for the handcuffs. They brought him to court. The judge sentenced him to perform in the park with the children of the city. This he did happily, though through his performance some boys playing on his wire jerked it and Felipe fell. Now the towers are gone. But in memory, as if imprinted on the sky, the towers are still there. And part of that memory is the joyful morning, August 7th, 1974, when Felipe Petit walked between them in the air. So now we finish the story, I want you to think about what the story tells us about New York. There's quite a lot of information in those pictures about the type of place it is, how busy it is, and obviously the size of some of the buildings. Now this story, in case you haven't worked it out, is about a very famous landmark which was tragically brought down in 2001. And it was a really, really sad moment for New York. And if you go to New York today, you obviously can't see the Twin Towers, and you might want to use that in your research when you look into New York for Monday's English lesson. It's quite an interesting thing to find out about, quite an interesting landmark. So this story is based on a true story, and today, this is Monday, you're going to be using that to research into New York and about what New York was like. I should say as well, you don't have to research into the Twin Towers. It's just a suggestion if you wanted to cover it. Good luck with today's lesson. This video is also going to be used later on in the next couple of weeks, so obviously you'll just have to ignore the end part of it, because that's for today's lesson. But you might want to watch the story again, which obviously you can do at any time. It's on the YouTube channel.